Hello everyone, I am Andrei. Welcome to this stream of Gods, Death and Reapers. Some of you might know me already. For those that are new, welcome. I am the game director, and today with me I have Damien. Damien, if you will, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Damien. I'm a producer for Gods, Death and Reaper, and happy to be here today.
All right, so today we're going to be sharing some of the first glimpses of gameplay for Gods, Death and Reapers. Now, as a reminder to everyone, the game is still in alpha. We consider it to be alpha development. We're going to be watching one of our colleagues play and trying to comment on what he's doing in the game. Hopefully he should be a pretty good player, so hopefully nothing bad to comment on. For those of you unaware of the project, to do a quick recap, we are what we call an extraction RPG. Essentially, players start off with a very empty base that they have to build up from scratch and then travel to different maps inspired by different mythological realms in pursuit of riches and, of course, exploring different quest lines that the game has to offer. Would you say I did a good sum up of that, Damien? Or would you like to add anything?
No, it's a very good sum up. We're indeed in the mix of genre between the extraction, the ARPG with some MOBA aspects as well, in terms of how the session develops. And right now we're watching our colleague playing Hammer, which is one of the 4 weapons available at the moment. But we do plan on having a lot more of those on there, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that we forgot to mention is that the main game mode of the game involves also PvP. So while you're going to these different maps, different realms, you might encounter other people that are gonna give you a hard time. Our main game mode also involves you looting other players, but of course that means that they can loot you as well. So be careful when you encounter different Reapers in the game.
Yeah.
At the moment, I think we're watching Nacho. Nacho, our colleague here, he's probably trying to get up some levels really fast. So the way the game works is every time you go into a new match... Oh my god, he almost died already. I hope this won't be a short stream. Okay, got out of there. So I think at the moment he's trying to farm some levels quickly because each match you have to get up your levels to gain access to the different skills which come from the equipment that he has on. So we call this you are what you wear. That's how we usually refer to it. Your equipment is what gives you access to the different builds that the game has available. As Damien mentioned, we have a Hammer player here. Hopefully he'll find a different weapon and also try something else. But until he meets another player, do you care to comment on the PvE aspect of the game, Damien?
Absolutely. PvE aspect of the game. So first of all, what I would like to say is that this is a mythological game, right? And we're in Midgard, which is the northern mythology. On the PvE part of the game, what's very interesting is we're in a mix of genre where the PvE itself is made to be slightly challenging, so which is going to differ a little bit from your traditional ARPG PvE that you'll have, is that you're not going to be able to just simply go in a pack of mob and bash them all and kill them all very easily. As you can see, our colleague Nacho here is already half HP already just by fighting mob, which is the desired intention, right, Andrei? So you're not just going to be able to bash everything. You're going to need to learn some patterns of attacks of the enemy for you to basically be efficient in the way you farm and get ahead of the session in terms of XP.
Yeah, it's something that I called Souls Light, so we don't want to make it quite as hard as a Souls-like game, but we did take inspiration a bit from it. Basically, the way we see it is that we do want each AI to be menacing. So even in the absence of PvP, this world is brutal. It's hard to go through, and you should have a bit of a challenge all the way through. This challenge will also scale up with time. If you can notice at the top left of the screen, there is a widget counting down. There are some skulls embedded into that clock of the game. So the more the game goes on, the more mobs will spawn on the map and the harder they will be. So you might want to be efficient with how much time you spend on a map. But also, the player will increase in power as the session goes on. So I think that's what Nacho is trying to do right now. I see that he has a quest, sending a message. We currently have one NPC in the game during these closed alphas that we're doing with players, where we have a... what would you call Ratatoskr, Damien?
Sneaky quest giver who really needs some nuts, I believe.
Yeah, he's a troublemaker, I would say. And I think his main thing is spreading gossip. There's two factions on this map who he really enjoys pitting against each other. And in this particular quest, I think he's trying to get one of the factions angry at the other by leaving some nasty worded messages, let's say, in the other one's camp. So let's see what Nacho does with that. Like he's reached his quest objective and probably gonna start doing that. Hopefully nothing is going to go wrong or someone come in and interrupt him.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think this quest leads to an interesting one where laxative might or might not be involved.
Yeah, I mean, Ratty, as he's been called for some time internally, even in our own community, has a particular kind of humor to him, and we do plan most of our NPCs. But what I notice here is, like, for example, Nacho reached this place in the village, and there seems to be some items on the floor, so that's usually a first clue that something is here, someone probably is here. So he's likely going to encounter another player pretty soon.
Which is a good point that you mentioned, because right now we do implement some signs and feedback for where players have been. We're still in alpha, as Andrei mentioned, so we have ideas, we have designs, they're just not all implemented. But can you tell us a little more, Andrei, about what we plan to do in terms of player feedback, in terms of where they have been, in terms of chasing them or being chased?
Yeah, so we have a whole set of features that we call player discovery features. Stuff like being able to track people across the map. Let's say you might want to go, like you see there's a shrine now on the screen. That one just provides a movement speed buff, but we can envision having a shrine that gives you the position of enemy players, for example, for a brief window of time, if you really want to go hunt them down. There's also stuff you might have noticed at the beginning of the session. Nacho went into what we call a dungeon. Now you need keys to open dungeons, right? Some dungeons might not be very friendly to open, let's say, because they will alert the whole map when you do some. Not all of them. We do want to have some diversity in our features, but some of them might completely give away your position, so you're gonna want to be careful about that. Also in the future, another thing that we want to implement is a sort of mechanic that allows players to invade ongoing sessions. So right now, everyone spawns at the beginning of a match and stays together until that match concludes, or each one individually dies off or extracts. But in the future, we want to add the possibility of playing some kind of game mode where you invade sessions that are ongoing, and that should keep players even more on their toes, and hopefully have them think twice if they really want to stay in the match for a long time, or just once they've achieved this quest, for example, the quest is already telling Nacho to go back to base and speak to Ratatoskr. Now, if you don't do that, you might not enjoy the consequences, or you might very well do. At the end of the day, the more time you spend farming on the map, the more chances you have of finding really good gear or other items.
Yep. One addition on the dungeon aspect is that you need a key to open them, and by default, right now at least, they're all closed in each game sessions. Right? When you enter a game session and you have a key for a dungeon, if you open it for everyone in the session, which means you can be tracked. If you see an open dungeon, maybe someone's inside. That's a good tell as well. So you need to work with that information.
Yeah, and definitely it's the same case like with the loot on the ground, right? If you go somewhere and you find the dungeon open, then someone's definitely been through there. That might mean they're inside, maybe they're not. It's up to you to find out. And on that note, I think we also want to make sure that people have different playstyles available to them depending on how they want to play. So even now we have some abilities that can help you create a playstyle where you're a bit more sneaky. You can have invisibility, you can have various tools at your disposal. But real quickly commenting on what we're seeing now, as I mentioned, there's two different factions on this map fighting it out, and Nacho has found one of the border regions where you can actually see them fight it out. Sometimes you can use this to your advantage.
Absolutely. So the two factions that we have right now are the Reavers and the Hunt Warriors. One of them is a shape-shifting faction, and the other one is more like of former glorious warriors that died and got revived after the apocalypse, right? And they can indeed be found throughout the map, especially as Andrei mentioned in the border, in the middle, fighting each other, which you can watch and just pick up the loot, which you can join and help fight them out. But very interesting stuff, and we do plan on adding more as we advance.
Indeed. Now, very briefly, we had a bot show up on screen. Bots is a currently feature that's in development. We plan to use them for several things in the future. We've recently announced, for example, doing a PvE version of the game, a co-op version, also a story mode only campaign, which you'll be able to play fully offline, so you'll be able to go through the story of the game and all the quests that Ratatoskr and other NPCs are going to bestow on you as a player. And bots are kind of there to, while not have a PvP experience, definitely help you simulate one in a friendly manner. So bots are never going to be particularly hard unless you're in a very hardcore mode. But they are there as a sort of help for new players to learn the game, as well as support for our future co-op and PvE modes.
Yeah, and that's where balancing and internal testing is very interesting, because I think you'll remember, Andrei, that at first, when we first introduced the bots, we gave them a couple of abilities, including Hammer Swing, which is what Nacho is rocking, and Thundering Bolt. And the funny thing is that Hammer Swing is an ability that drags you towards the person that cast it, and Thundering Bolt is a very shotgun kind of ultimate, which made it so that the bots, their first behavior was to drag you and one-shot you, which we changed, but that's why we test our game, right?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's also one of my favorite combos as a player, ever since I figured it out. Oh,
True.
That's a boss. Oh, and those are some players.
And PvP, oh.
That's not a place you want to be in. One of them died very fast. So it looks like Nacho actually ran into two different players that were already fighting. And also they have the boss of this map, which we'll talk about in a second.
Oh, he's gonna do it.
Oh, is he?
I think the hammer is gonna take it.
Oh,
yes, the hammer takes it over the javelin shield.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure this is the latest version. We've balanced things quite heavily in the last couple of weeks in preparation for our next closed alpha test. But I do believe the guy that played Shield, he had a reg.
Oh, and I'll cut you here, because one very important thing that we did mention that maybe you guys not know instantly is that he's right now looting the player he just killed. That's the extraction part of the game, right? If you die, you have a secret container that you can see at the bottom of his inventory. But if you die and something is not in your secret container, other people will loot them from you after they killed you, or you'll loot them from them. So be careful what you take out with you in the game.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, there's a secure container that Nacho only sees in his own inventory, and he can't see it for other players. So whatever you manage to stuff in there, and we will have systems that allow you to increase the capacity of that over time. So whatever you put inside of that is safe. We also want to introduce, of course, an insurance system to the game, allowing items to return to you if you've gone in with them and lost them and no one else has extracted. But other than that, of course, we even have, for the story mode of the game that we recently just announced, in that mode you don't even lose items when you die. So we do want to give people different ways of enjoying the game, playing the game, based on their level of comfort with gear loss in particular.
Absolutely, because we know it can be brutal. Not everyone is willing to risk the hard-earned items that you either crafted or looted. And for this, we prepare several game modes to give everyone the game mode that they are more comfortable playing with.
Indeed. Now, Nacho has already accomplished quite a bit in this session, I would say. It's not, let's say, it's definitely one of those sessions you go out of going like, oh, I finished my quest, I killed 2 people, got a bunch of red items, which are tier 4 in our game. Basically, we have a tiering system to items where the rarer the quality, the more and better stats it has. So personally, if I was Nacho right now, I'd be going out, but he seems to want to go for more. Bit greedy.
I see.
Let's see what happens.
She seems to be very confident after killing 2 players, and he's maybe a little bloodthirsty right now, which I can understand. I'd be the same. So different types of player, different types of gameplay.
Yeah, I think, you know what I think it is. Just speculating here, but I think that it seems like he's going for another dungeon, but also he saw the boss. He knows where the boss is. So I think he wants to farm a few more levels and then try to go for a boss kill.
Maybe. As well, to keep in mind that killing players grants a lot of XP, right? He has potions, as you can see on the bottom right corner in the quick slots. He has potions, he has bandages, he's healthy, and he's probably ahead in levels versus the other players in the session because he's killed 2 players and been farming the whole time. So this can be a decisive moment for him to decide, okay, do I extract and play it safe? Or do I use my advantage that I have in the current session to hunt more players, basically, and gather more loot? Which is the risk and reward type of thing that we want the players to always think about when they're playing and evaluating what their next move is going to be.
Yeah, and players are different, right? Like, me personally, whenever I play these kinds of games, I like to search every nook and cranny and go all over the map and spend as much time as possible to loot everything. I know there's a lot more players that are more efficiency based, like they just want to go in, achieve their goal, go out, go again. And I think I'm in the wrong here, but to each player his own.
I don't think there's a right and a wrong. Like, you know my playstyle, right? Just get in and kill as many people as possible.
And just try to kill people, yeah.
So, I'm not going to say I'm in the right or in the wrong, but I think to each his own, and whatever works best for you is probably the best course of action. So we're in another dungeon now. How many dungeons do we have on the map right now, Andrei? I think we've added quite a lot in the past months.
I think it's either 12 or 13, so something along those lines. And I think that concludes... Oh, he's getting ganked. Looks like we have another player, ironically called Reaper. Now, I will say this, my nickname is Reaper, but this guy isn't me. He stole my name.
Okay. Is the hammer gonna take it to the staff? He does again. Then again, Nacho is a pretty good player. Internally, we play a lot, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Nacho is one of our best players internally, and to be fair, I think he was out leveled. I think the other guy made a mistake by attacking him.
Then again, they met each other in a very small dungeon that we have. There's not a lot of room to escape, and when you're the staff with a weapon like the hammer, which has gap closers and CC, it's very hard to compete in such a tiny space where you don't have liberty of movement.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is that dungeon in particular, I remember, is another place where players have to go to make a quest. Now, I think Nacho's already made that quest because he's a bit later in the progression, but that other player might have been there only to do his quest. Which is another thing, like, a lot of people consider, that if you die, you lose everything, but the reality of it is that you actually get to keep quite a lot from the progression when it comes to the quest progression and types of achievement that you might be searching for a game. So sometimes I would even be willing to go naked, wear no equipment into a match, because I just need to get somewhere, do some quest, or get a quest item and get out. So it's a really low-risk way of achieving your goals.
Indeed, and as you mentioned, I do believe you're right, and that dungeon is one of the part of the quest where you have to go mandatorily to progress in the sanctuary, right? And one thing that is very important as well is if you know the lore of the game, if you've been through the quest chain, you can use that to your advantage as well. Players are going to want to open this part of the map. Players are going to want to go there to do their quests. If you're very clever and you want to take advantage of this, you can. Or maybe you can just help them out. You don't have to kill everyone and all the time.
Yeah, one thing we forgot to mention is also I see Nacho switched it up, let his hammer, and basically I think he took the staff of the previous guy he killed, the fake Reaper, not me. um, and the staff is a very particular playstyle. So the hammer is a very mobility-based weapon, I would say. Like, it has a lot of mobility options. It does quite a bit of damage, but it has some longer cooldown, so it's a more of a long rotation kind of weapon. The staff itself is more based on dots, so you have to use your basic attacks that Nacho is using here to kind of place stacks on people, and then use those stacks with your other abilities to blow them up. So you kind of, I think the player that was fighting Nacho earlier, he didn't have a chance to get his stacks up to even stand a chance. He might have been low HP when that started.
Yeah, exactly. So the other player, the fake Reaper, definitely not you, didn't really stand a chance, because the staff, the way it's designed right now, is you're looking to poke and have a long-winded fight for you to have time to stack those dots on the other players. And we do have damage multipliers on other skills that use the number of dots that you have on a target to increase the damage of the other spells. So it's really a matter of dragging the fight in the long run and taking the advantage like this, which sadly he didn't have the time to do.
Yeah, I will say, like, the balancing sessions we've done recently, the staff is fairly competitive, but as you said, like, you need to draw out the fight. Your focus needs to be on long-term engagement, whereas other weapons are more bursty in style, and they really need to lock you down. I won't say...
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't say that Damien basically destroyed me in PvP with the staff, but he might have.
I mean, we've each won a couple, right? Let's say it's a 50-50. There's one thing that I noticed right now is that I think Nacho is rocking the Wolf Chain set, which gives a set bonus, and we haven't talked about set bonuses yet, Andrei.
Right. Well, set bonuses we've introduced in the last few tests that we've done. And basically what they do is when you wear multiple items of the same set, at the moment it's all of them, they will give you a very specific set bonus that contributes to your playstyle, or should contribute to your playstyle. The Wolf Chain, if I'm not mistaken, has the Survivalist bonus, which basically means if Nacho's health ever drops to 30%, he will get an instant burst of HP, a healing wave. So that's very helpful when you're in a tight spot, but that has a pretty long cooldown. I think something around 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, in the future we might want to play around with this. I know we want to try mixing and matching set bonuses, so we're probably going to lower the amount of items that you have to wear for a set bonus to apply. See how people can combine different sets and create all sorts of wonderful new builds that we discover every time we put something new into the game. And speaking of that, at the moment, just to give you guys some numbers, the closed alpha tests have about 3 armors in total and 4 weapons. Out of those 4 weapons, they don't even all have all of the skills on them set up. And as Damien mentioned, we plan on adding a lot more. So in the future, we already have about 10 weapons that we have designed and are ready to go, and it's a matter of us putting that content in bit by bit, so that, you know, we wouldn't want to have a huge dump where everything is broken, and we kind of want to ease introduction to these new elements. That together, plus all of the weapons getting some new abilities, plus doubling the amount of weapons, I am actually quite excited to see how many builds people are going to be able to make out of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add on top of that, I don't want to throw any shade to any other games out there, but we're in alpha, and we're in actual alpha. And we've taken the choice to be very player-driven, which means we do test internally, we do daily PvP sessions internally, we do balancing internally a lot, but we're also relying on these closed alphas when we put our changes and new aspects of the game in the hands of the player to actually take their feedback, study it internally, and implement it when it makes sense with our design intentions, right? So we could just ship a bunch of weapons and that's it, and let the players play with it. But we do it bit by bit because we need time to interpret the data and the player feedback and to make sure the game is finally balanced around these and not just, a hell to balance throughout the development of the alpha.
Yeah, and seems like I was right. Nacho spent a bit more time farming, is almost level 15, and has now decided to take on the boss. Now, in fairness, the boss is probably easier to beat with a ranged weapon compared to a melee one, but I'm not sure he's gonna have an easy time. Let's see what happens.
Oh, the laser, though. So the boss is Nightmare. As you can see, there's 3 of them. It's one of his abilities. He splits in 3 under a certain threshold of HP, and he also has a death zone around him, which shortens as time passes. And if you try to get out of it, you'll take some dots and slow movement speed. So you need to tread very carefully.
Yeah.
There is the zone.
That just showed up, so he's now gonna be forced to stay in a melee range with the boss, which isn't gonna help him out.
Yeah, now would be a very bad time to have a player ambush you, right?
Or even later, maybe at the end it could get even worse.
Okay, looks like he did beat the boss. That's the loot.
Well, to be fair, I think he got lucky because he killed the real clone, right? He could have, for example, killed the clone and then the fight would have gone on, but he managed to find the right clone and kill it.
Yeah, which is one of the things that we discussed internally in terms of design. Should we give the clones a different aspect so the players know which one it is? And we ended up right now on no. So the boss is harder this way, but I think it does make sense.
Yeah, but I feel like it's always cheap whenever I play a game that splits apart and you always know like, it's a clone. So, and
Yeah.
it gives you too much information. This way I think it's a bit harder, as you said, but it's also a bit more, I wouldn't want to call it random, but it definitely generates different moments whenever you fight the boss, right? And speaking of the boss, to make a mention on the lore part, this boss is inspired by Fenrir of the Norse mythology. So for people who are familiar with the Norse mythology, Fenrir's worst nightmare was that he was gonna go mad and kill everyone, and this boss's name is literally the Nightmare of Fenrir. So he's inspired out of that. Now that does not make him the real Fenrir, and I'm not gonna say more because that's something that you guys would be able to discover through the story of the game, with which Fenrir may or may not be involved. We'll see.
Absolutely.
And since I brought up the topic of mythologies, I guess we could also talk a little bit about how we intend to use mythologies into the game. So players act as agents of death, being recruited as reapers. Now the reason this happened is because inexplicably, unknown, at least until you see the story of the game, all of the gods have mysteriously been wiped out in this universe. And no one really knows why. Actually, not even Death knows why. It wasn't planned, it shouldn't have happened. And he's sending you out to investigate. And that's what you as a player are going to be doing a lot. Spending a lot of time in these different mythologies, out of which right now we have the Norse one, which we're putting into the game, and then slowly we're gonna add others, and you're gonna investigate what happened and what consequence this has for the universe.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll be able to extract like Nacho just did successfully.
Yep, and that's a loop of extraction. You start in the sanctuary, go in, get out. Hopefully like Nacho, with a lot of gear.
Yeah, I think now he's gonna spend some resources into upgrading his sanctuary, turning in his quests, take a bunch of new ones, as you can see that you unlock through the quest progression that we have so far.
Yeah, he's probably gonna upgrade his sanctuary, craft some items, turn in quests, basically start working towards that in-game economy which we need to develop further into the game. But I think at this point, thank you for watching, everyone. That was one gameplay session of Pantheon, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Andrei.
Thank you, Damien.